Hi, folks. Meteorologist Joy Haynes here with you. I want to talk about a little bit of weather here in this live stream. Hope you're doing well here this Saturday evening. Let's get you updated on what's happening. So it looks like the Storm Prediction Center seems to think our severe weather threat has diminished almost to the point of zero. Just a marginal risk in far southern Toledo Bend. It's more down to our south and east. So as the cold front has moved through the Arctic, it's certainly stabilized our weather with cooler conditions at the surface. Still got some elevated instabilities you'll see in our Willis Knight Mega 3 Doppler radar with a few thunderstorms still behind the front. But for the most part, the severe weather threat has moved on. And the same goes for tomorrow. Looks like a fairly stable forecast as we get on into tomorrow. And no watches, no warnings at this time. So the nasty weather we had earlier today and last night has settled down. So here is our Willis Knight Mega 3 Doppler radar, and this is an hour's worth of movement. So Toledo Bend country, the cold front is down south now, and so you don't see as many bright red colors with the very heavy downpours. You don't see as many lightning strikes with lightning trackers. So at least the surface component of the instability has been pushed to the south. So the severe weather threat kind of diminishing down your way. Still some elevated instability back to the west there with some thunderstorms coming over this cooler air mass with a little bit warmer air above this cool air mass. In other words, elevated instability. And so can't rule out a few thunderstorms, but the severe weather threat minimalized now. A little bit farther south down in Toledo Bend, you can see the biggest thunderstorms with the bright red colors more down to our south. And you can kind of see them kind of bowing out and leaving the area there behind the cold front. So the cold front kind of undercutting our once very unstable atmosphere earlier today. Along I-20, well, not much happening right now. Drying out a little bit around Shreveport-Bossier, but some more rain coming from the west and a little bit of rain heading over toward the Ruston area. That's an hour's worth of movement that you see there. And up along the I-30 corridor, still got some showers up there, but not looking at any thunderstorms at this time, but can't rule out a few thunderstorms here and there. Chance of measurable rain, the best odds for measurable rain probably south of I-20 as we go through tonight. Northern sections can't rule out some rain that stacks up, or at least 1/100th of an inch of precipitation. That leaves a puddle around your location. And still got a little bit of rain to go here before it's all said and done with. Now, that rain chance dwindles down quite a bit in the northern part of the Arctic for tomorrow, but for the morning, still from I-20 south, there still is a possibility of a little bit of light rain or some showers there. Current temperature in Natchitoches, 63 with calm winds. You can see the wet streets there, humidity at saturation. Got a little bit of rain in your area. Also, Shreveport, almost saturation on that humidity, 94%. Winds out of the east at 6. 63 is the current temperature. Earlier today, it was in the lower 80s before the cold front moved in. In Texarkana, you're at 63, calm winds and 100% relative humidity. Weather Watch reports. Want to call out our friends here that helped us out today with some good, good amounts of rain in parts of our Arctic area, including New Boston. Our weather watcher Ken Wallen had 1.62 inches of rain today. About an inch less than that for Chuck Ham and Redwater, 9100s there for Reed Eisenhower in Texarkana, over an inch for Jason Patterson, Atlanta, Texas. Brian Loper, Atlanta, Texas, an inch and a third. Vic Scarborough doing some storm chasing last night, finding a pretty big wedge tornado coming across I-49 up there in Miller County last night. Boy, that was a nasty looking video that I think he has it on our Weather Watcher page there, but it was a pretty wide tornado. 0.6 of an inch of rain for him today. 65 100s for Bob Finchers from Bellevue, and only 1/4 of an inch for Wayne Hatfield in the Homer area there. But, you know, a little bit of rain goes a long way when you have some serious drought conditions. So it can't hurt to have 1/4 inch of rain, even though you could probably use a whole lot more. And still more to come. We're not finished with it here tonight. Francis Moody, Cypress Lake, about 3/4 of an inch. Same goes for Ronnieville and Ruston. 6100s there for Gary Battlefield and Elm Grove. 1/10 of an inch for Barry Howard and Clarence. 1 inch there for Kay Berry and Stonewall. About half that for Gene Haynes over in the Stonewall area. And Toledo Bend country, Helen and Troy Webb, Noble, Louisiana there, about 28 100s. Metro area had a good number of folks reporting Tom Cole, Shreveport, quarter inch. A little less than that for Mike Lyles in Shreveport. Ronnie Hull, doubling, almost tripling what those two gentlemen had. Mark Potter, Bossier City, about a quarter of an inch, a third of an inch for Paul Nip at Keithville. Gary Stratton and Blanchard, 4,100s, and a little bit more than a half inch there for Randall Elliott and Benton, and Molly Rankin also in the Benton area. So good representation today. Some folks doing pretty well and some folks doing without, but we're still not done with the rain. I think we'll have a little bit more as the night wears on. Temperature-wise, currently it's in the 50s in Mount Pleasant and Idabel, 60s in Texarkana, Magnolia there, lower 60s in Minden and Ruston, Mansfield, Carthage checking in at 62 and 63 over in the Longview area. So cool down quite a bit over what we had earlier today. Here's the big picture. So the jet stream, the polar jet kind of hanging out along the Canadian border, drug a little disturbance down our way that helped push a cold front into the Arctic. And then, well, we saw this little disturbance out here kind of move on down to the southwest and get cut off from the jet stream flow. And this disturbance will probably hang out there in the desert southwest through about Tuesday timeframe before it makes its push over toward the Arctic. In other words, another system comes up behind it to help nudge it along. So this could be a middle week weather maker that could provide some pretty good fireworks for us. In advance of it, though, we have a bit of a ridge building. That's where the jet stream's bowing up a little bit there, and that ridge probably will halt the progress of our cold front. It probably won't get too much farther than perhaps the I-10 corridor, and that ridge will start drawing it back up to the north. And you kind of see where the boundary is, where all that green shading is down there south of the Shreveport area. That's where the front and the biggest storms are hanging out down to our south. So this is our weekend storm. It's kind of getting elongated. It'll push away from us and won't have very much more effect on that front down to our south. And again, that ridge will start bringing it back probably to the north as early as tomorrow and probably make it to the north of us by Monday. So the front are currently close to stationary. Now you see those thunderstorms that are well down to our south. That's a big outflow boundary there, but the front will kind of blend into that. But those storms, they're cool rain and a little bit of push from the upper atmosphere, perhaps some drier air accelerating through those storms, helping to kick out a big gust front. And of course, that kicks up the moisture, cools, condenses, and forms some storms. And so you see a pretty good wave kind of bowing out there. It could be some severe weather down toward Baton Rouge, New Orleans out of that business, but long story short, that will continue marching down to the south and east of us, and our front may make it a little bit farther south before pulling up stationary, but the alternating red and blue lines indicate it's slow down quite a bit. But we've cooled down some. It's down south of Toledo Bend, so we're behind the front right now, and again, we're stabilizing pretty well. Temperature-wise, 60s for us, 50s in Little Rock, 60s in Houston, 50s and even the 40s back up in North Texas, and those folks are truly behind that cold front, and the front probably won't back up to the north and reach them until probably late in the day on Monday. For us, it might be early part of the day that front backs up to the north. New Orleans checking in at 74, and you got Memphis there at 59. So Precision Cast shows our frontal boundary just kind of hanging down to our south. This is 7 o'clock tomorrow, and still possibly a little bit of shower activity south of the I-20 corridor. The stronger cells down to our south and east, south of the frontal boundary where it's still warm and humid, very unstable. This is 7 o'clock Sunday, and the front doesn't move a whole lot. It hangs out across southern parts of the area. Possibly by tomorrow evening, it may drop a little bit farther south, but that ridge building out to the west will draw it to the north ahead of our next storm, which is that one hanging out in the desert southwest coming our way for the middle part of the week. All right, Precision Cast. So showers and thunderstorms here through 10 o'clock tonight, mainly areas south of I-30, and then through tomorrow morning, still probably some showers around south of I-20, and then that activity may kind of fall apart a little bit, leaving us with mostly cloudy skies, perhaps a few breaks in that overcast in the northern part of the Arctic for the afternoon. So as for days, for outdoor activities, probably Sunday will be the peak day. But as for getting some beneficial rainfall, Saturday was the day. And this is 5 o'clock on your Sunday, so most of the rain hanging down to our south, and then the clouds starting to build back in from the southwest as the tail end of our front starts advancing back to the north. Forecast rain amounts, at least to get into tomorrow, probably south of I-20, the best odds of measurable rain. Northern sections probably not enough to even measure as we head into the nighttime. So the best odds of something measurable down to our south. For tonight, 60 degrees in Shreveport, 80% probability of measurable rain. Winds out of north at about 5. 40s for lows up there in Idabel and the Queen, the 50s in Magnolia and Minden, the low 60s down to Natchitoches, or the mid 60s, the upper 50s in East Texas, and the low 50s up there in Mount Pleasant. For tomorrow, the lower 70s, so about 10 degrees cooler than what we experienced today. The rain chance is still there, but not as pronounced or not as high as where we're at right now. And the wind's still fairly light. They may start turning more into the east-southeast as we head into the late afternoon, as that boundary, the front down to our south, starts to move back to the north. High temperatures generally in the 70s, that you can see on the board there. Minden, Marshall at 74, Magnolia there at 72 degrees. All right, so our little weather disturbance moves off to the east, and then that storm out in the desert southwest comes our way for the middle part of the week. It does weaken, but it does have enough influence, enough dynamics to kick out some pretty big storms there for the middle part of the week, about Wednesday time frame. Here's the way it looks at the surface. So as that weather system gets a little bit closer, it has a surface component, a cold front, and a dry line coming our way. And this is Wednesday morning. And you can see some of the big storms developing near that frontal boundary there, showing up in the red colors there. That's midday. And here's the afternoon and peak heating. And this is, this weather system is upper atmospheric, so it's cold up there. And as it gets a little bit closer, it will destabilize the atmosphere a little higher up. It'll have a whole lot of spin, a lot of dynamics there. So they have plenty of dynamical lift, and it'll be moving into a fairly unstable atmosphere, warm and humid down near the ground. And then this system has a lot of spin to it, so a lot of wind shear. So all those components, if they come together, could give us a pretty good round of fireworks and a little more widespread affair across the Arctic as we get into the latter part of your Wednesday. So just keep that in mind. Wednesday afternoon could be interesting for us, and then this could move on out of here by Wednesday evening, followed by clearing and much improving weather at that time. Here's that 7-day forecast. So can't rule out a few showers as we get into the first half of tomorrow, but for the most part, not a big chance of rain. Highs in the lower 70s. And then we get into Monday. Notice the winds out of the south at 10 miles an hour. So the warm fronts pushed on back to the north, and we jump right up there in the 80s, very humid 80s. And then even warmer for Tuesday in advance of that system out in the southwest that's coming to visit on Wednesday. So it's drawing up that very warm and increasingly humid air as it gets up near I-20 and what have you. Only a slight chance of rain through Tuesday, but then the odds really pick up there for Wednesday for measurable rain. Highs near 80 degrees. That system pushes through, and then we clear out, and behind it cools down quite a bit. Highs near 70, upper 60s on Thursday. Sunshine there for Friday, and sunshine as we get into the latter part of the week. So drying out quite a bit too. So if you're you might be kind of tired of the humidity by the time we reach the middle part of next week, although we still need that moisture to keep the fire danger low, and also to give a little bit better chance of measurable rain to take care of that drought for us. All right, folks. Well, let's see. We got 8:13 right now, so about 45 minutes from now, we'll have KPXJ CW21 News at 9. And I think after the basketball game, we'll be back at 10 o'clock on KTBS Channel 3, but we'll get you updated on the weather, the news, and the sports around the Arctic. Well, I hope you have a nice evening and a nice rest of your weekend. We'll see you back in just a bit.